Hello everyone and welcome back to the Season 11 ACC Championship here at 2S. Today you'll have a different voice behind the commentary box. It is me, Christian Stricker. Some of you guys may have already seen me in the past before, but unfortunately Timo was not able to make it today. So I'll be standing in for him to make this fifth round at what is my favorite track on the ACC calendar, and also my favorite track, to be honest, of any racing. Mount Panorama. We had a 12-hour race not so long ago and I absolutely loved it, and I was actually hoping to race today, but sadly not, as Team wasn't able to make it, so I decided to step into the commentary box as well. Maybe that would have been, is a better idea, to be honest, considering I haven't been practicing for a long time, and this is definitely a difficult track to get back into. Definitely one of the more technical tracks for Mount Panorama is, for sure, but we ride on board with Sam Chumley at the moment, who is about to set the first lap of qualifying in his bright pink car. Do excuse me if I'm still getting used to all the liveries. I haven't been paying so much attention to Season 11 as I've been very busy, but I'm back here today, so all is good. But anyway, Sam is in the Audi for the team name Wee, and he's about to cross the start-finish line for what is going to be his first banker lap. Now I know the Audis are quick around here, I also know the BMWs are very quick. So it'll be interesting to see the fights between those guys. And it instantly sets a 2:01.7, which is bested by my Luxembourgish friend of Ben Lowe's instantly. So a good start from Ben Lowe's as well. I know he's had success this season so far. He has one win in his name, his first 2S win ever this season, where he came P1 in Hungaroring, I believe it was. And then also in P2 was Tommy Azulin, who is his Luxembourgish friend, so that was a nice day for Luxembourg. Can you tell I'm slightly biased here? No? Okay, good. Anyways, so we get the first few banker laps coming in already. Dominic Illigner, who is leading the championship, sets a 2:01, which is a brilliant lap time to set as a banker lap, to be honest. I do think the track conditions are very good though. It's quite low temperature, optimum grip. So we'll be seeing quick lap times today, and then we have George Rosu, who is making a comeback here in 2S again, setting it into provisional P1 so far in that interestingly colored BMW, I should say, sort of a beigey brown yellowy color. I don't know, but I think it's his Romanian team of Digital Racing Squad that he races for, that he's representing with this BMW here at Bathurst today. But we also have a bit of a wildcard. I don't want to say wildcard driver, but look at this, everyone. We've got a Nissan GTR back on the grid, and it's driven by Bjorn Scheibner. I've never seen this name before, so welcome to the grid. I do apologize if you have raced with us before. I'm still getting used to all the new names since we've launched on SimGrid. We've got a lot of new drivers coming into the community, and it's absolutely brilliant to watch and great to see. And it's been nothing but fun. Oh, a bit of a block there by the Mercedes on Björn's fast lap, and I think that might cost him a little bit. It could be a potential report for the FA to look at, but he managed to handle that situation really well. He did in his Nissan GTR, and I'd love to see a different car choice happen on this track, and it's brilliant to see new names as well. We also have currently leading silver Martin Bryan. Cinderella Man is his choice of a team name in the Ferrari, and then followed by Andrea Baudetto. I do apologize if I butcher any of these names. It's a very interesting, it looks like a Splatoon livery car almost, or at least inspired by Splatoon, for No Brakes Racing, just paint spots all over the place. Very cool paintball kind of livery, to be honest. I quite like it, and we obviously have the usual names as well with us here today. Ollie Stricker, my brother. We have Reinoha, Ad van Geffen, Jack Mills, Noppen, Van den Hooding. And we have Luca Spezzani. I've never seen him before either. Welcome to the grid. In his brightly colored Audi, a nice livery, to be honest, and looking forward to see him place his first lap times. See how he does against the rest of the field. But anyways, most people getting in the banker laps at the moment. Still have just over 7 minutes of quali left. Let's spend those off the track. But it's a tricky one because I think Bathurst, the outlap itself is 2.5 minutes. So you have to really make time your runs to perfection to get the best amount of lap time possible. Or track time, I should say, is more correct terminology. and it's definitely difficult. Oh, that's George Roser getting out of the way of Dominic Illiner. No, there's contact with the wall from Dominic Illiner. I don't know if he got blocked by George Roser there or what happened exactly. Maybe we can go have a look at the replay. I think I'll quickly jump into the replay. Hopefully we're able to catch that. To go into the driver's room. George Roser goes off the track and then he comes back on, and that I think maybe distracts Illiner a little bit, and he goes into the wall. So that was a fast lap that he had to abort there, and that's unfortunate for Illiner. But he is back out again. He's going to complete his back lap, and he has 2 runs after that banker lap is, or sorry, not the out lap is made. So we'll see how that works out for him. Anyways. Some driver who's quite far up in his time is Jorge Prieto. Nice to see him back on track. We saw him in the BMW Cup. He's pretty good in the BMW Cup, a lot of improvement. He joins in the Pro class this season for round 5, and he sets it into provisional P10 with a 2-minute 03. And we have behind him we have Antoine Olive going in as well. Oh, he just goes straight to the escape road. That's an interesting way to reset your car, but not a bad choice either. But we have Andrea Baudetto, who's actually quite far up on his delta, nearly a full second up on his lap time actually. As he goes in to the last corner, gets a brilliant exit compared to his previous lap. He's a full second up, and he just manages to miss out on the provisional pole position in silver class behind Martin Bryan there. So it's going to be a close battle between these 2 Ferraris over the mountain today. It's going to be very interesting to watch. I look forward to seeing that battle unfold for sure. Let's see if there's any other drivers at the moment trying to improve their lap times. We have a little bit of a racing going on in the background with Antoine Olive in the brightly colored Revolut car, or I would say more Tron inspired car, but I like to call the Revolut car because it's got the Revolut sponsoring on the top. Thank you again, Revolut, for sponsoring the trip we had to Spa. A bunch of guys who used the referral code for Revolut, and we all managed to, it basically paid for the whole trip when we came together to watch 24 hours Spa. Good fun, good times. Anyways, Tommy Aslin is up on his delta as well. He's currently 8 tenths behind pole position. He is the second driver in the championship currently with the standings, with Dominic Illiner in first place. And there's only 10 points separating these 2 drivers, so he could turn the tables today if he gets a brilliant performance. I know he is brilliant at Bathurst. I raced with him in the 12 hours of Bathurst I did a couple months ago. And we had a really strong team there, and I know he loves the mountain and he loves the track just as much as I do. But we did it in the BMW, and this is the Aston Martin, which is a little bit different. And beforehand we were joking about maybe he should take the V12 Aston. No one will notice, because the V12 Aston, it's, yeah, okay, in the mountain section it's a little bit slower, but on the straights it's an absolute monster, so it's basically impossible to overtake. So it's actually quite race handy here at Bathurst, the V12 Aston. But he's decided to stick with the V8 one. Hopefully he found a setup that works for him. I know he likes to run a bit of a loose rear end on his setups, and the Aston's quite a stable car, but it allows also for a lot of sideways driving that can be controlled. So Tommy Aslin as well, coming to the start-finish line now. He's a little bit up in his time actually. He's potentially going to get 1 or 2 positions as he crosses the line, and he's just behind Sam Chumley. Improves his time, but stays in 6th place at the moment. So he has 2 more runs in him, probably, to try and improve that time. We have Nico Veldman behind him actually, we have Nico Veldman going through the mountain section. I think that's Jack Colley in front of him, going a little bit sideways. There might be a bit of a yellow flag, or actually Jack Colley manages to catch the car. So that's not going to hinder Nico's lap time, but Nico's absolutely flying at the moment. He's 6 tenths up on his lap time, and he gets a little bit of a slipstream there from Jack Colley as well, coming over the mountain section. And we'll have to see how he nails his braking point into the last sector. I forget the name. Is it the Chase, this corner? I'm not sure. People in chat, if you're there, feel free to correct me. But he comes in, brakes just after the 150 mark, which is what you're supposed to do in the Audi. Gets the power down nice and early. Good exit as well, a little bit over the curve, so he loses a single tenth there, but that's not going to hurt his time too much as he breaks into the final corner now. Taking a little bit of an easy approach and gets on the throttle a little bit too late, so he loses a bit of time, but it's still enough to pick himself over Antoine Olive into P7 at the moment. So still a lot of time to catch the guys above, but he's within the 1 second margin now of the pole position, well, provisional pole position that George Rosu has, but that's might just about to be bested with Dominic Illiner coming across the line. He's going to jump it. Oh, no, he's not. He was 4 tenths up on the delta, but he's 0.06 seconds behind Rosu, so there's just inches between those 2 drivers at the moment. That's going to lead to a very, very exciting race. Very close times here today between the Audi and the BMW driver. Obviously, Dominic Illiner is the reigning champion at 2S, and he's leading the championship yet again. And that would have been a sweet way to get himself into provisional pole just by pipping out George Rosu. But we have behind him Ben Lewis, who is in 3rd place, but he's 4 tenths behind, and then basically that's where the rest of the battles are coming in from. So at the moment, George Rosu and Dominic Illigner in a bit of a league of their own, at least on quali pace. We'll have to wait and see come race pace, because I know these cars change drastically when they get a little bit of fuel in them. It's hard to maintain a full race pace here at Mount Panorama, and obviously we have the full hour. Oh, into the wall goes Illigner. That's going to cost him some time, and I think also invalidate his lap time. That he might just be able to complete the lap and get one more run in, depending on how bad the damage is. And okay, that's quite a bit more damage that he's got to the car there. So I think his quali run is over at the moment, and that's going to be music to the ears of George Rosu if Illigner is not able to complete one more lap. At the moment is Illigner still trying to continue. He might have 5 or 6 seconds of damage or something, but that's still enough to... Ooh, there's a little bit of traffic in the way of Dominic Illigner. That is the broken Audi of Oliver Stricker in front of him, and there's a McLaren jumping out of the way, going off the road, but that's already cost George Rosu a little bit there as he goes into the... into the barriers he goes, but I think he's okay because Dominic Illigner is quite slow on this lap and he's got some damage. Someone who is flying though is Tommy Azzelin, going down the mountain section now into the forest elbow. Let's see how he manages to navigate this section here. He needs to get a brilliant exit here. He's currently 4 tenths up on his lap time, and depending on his exit, okay, so he'll be about 2 tenths up by the end of the straight. He's got a little bit of a slower exit compared to his previous lap, but he's getting closer and closer to the guys in the P1 at the moment. He might just be able to pip Ben Lowes and slot himself into a P3 position, which sits him right behind the championship leader of Dominic Illigner at the moment. So that could be a very close battle to continue watching. We're at halfway through the season, we're actually over halfway through the season now, and these guys are only 10 points between them. So I think this is going to be a brilliant battle to watch, and I know Tommy Azzelin will give it everything he can to be the first time to US champion, whereas Dominic Illigner will also give it everything he can to maintain that title. As Tommy Azzelin comes to the start-finish line, what's it going to be? And didn't improve? Did he invalidate his lap? What's going on? Oh. Well, that was very anticlimactic. I do apologize. I thought maybe his lap was invalidated. So I don't think you can validate your lap at Mount Panorama. He was 3 tenths up when he crossed the line, but oh well. I don't know what happened there. Just reading the chat. Thank you, Ruben. I will have fun streaming. Let me know how everything is. It's been a while since I've done the commentary box and the commentary stream, so I don't know if the sounds are up to standards. Hopefully they are. The last few times it's been a while, I accidentally started the stream without any audio from the mic, so the first 5 minutes were just silent. But I don't think that's happened this time because no one has pointed it out in chat. So yeah, just let me know if everything's okay. Nico Veldman, currently one of the only drivers improving at the moment, apart from Jack Mills, who's actually right in front of him. So we'll see Jack Mills cross the line in front, who might just jump into P2, or as he just behind Martin Bryan there as he crosses the line. Nico Veldman also just behind Sam Chumley as he crosses the line. Finally, we have Dominic Illigner giving it his all, even with the damage he collected from... Whoa, what a weird camera angle that was. That's because he's going into the pit lane, I see. I thought he was going to complete his lap, but apparently not. But hey, let's have a look at this damaged Audi of Ollie Stricker. Trying to complete a lap, that is. And Audi's definitely seen better days for sure. But anyway, Jack Mills, I spoke to him a little bit before the race. He said he was not going to qualify. And then he also pulled out a quote that, "I'm not going to be involved in the pileup. I am the pileup. So if a pileup happens and Jack Mills is involved, we know who to blame already, and that's gonna make it so much easier for everyone who needs to be in the shooting team, because they just know it's Jack's fault. He's already admitted it before the race, and you heard it here on stream. So people who failed to qualify, or I don't know if Ollie Stricker still has his lap to complete. His lap time's actually not invalidated, so he will still cross the line and put in a lap time. He finishes in P20, but the people who have not set a quality lap time is Zanoni, Van Geffen, Noppen, Van den Hooding, Diakowski, and Visser. I believe some of those are due to quality bans, but I'm not entirely sure which ones are due to quality bans and which ones aren't. Anyways, I'm gonna launch this track video. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break for my voice, and I'll see you guys very soon. Stay tuned for an amazing race that's about to come. Hello everyone, I'm back from my break and we're about to get ready for what will probably be the most exciting race of the season so far. Don't take my word for it, don't at me at it, but I definitely know Mount Panorama never fails to deliver. And here we are yet again waiting for the cars to do their thing across the mountain. The first formation lap will be very interesting, get the tires into temperature. And then hopefully avoid a lap 1 pileup, which we have seen before. I think I seem to remember a certain season where, I'm not going to name any names, but there was a Mercedes driver who, down the main straight, or the back straight actually I should say, down the back straight, somehow, I don't know how, he hit a bump or something that unsettled the car, and he managed to cause a pileup with everyone apart from the top 3 being involved in this pileup. Luckily it was one of our, back when we ran our what's it called, our double sprint race, so it wasn't such a long race, and it was only half points that he managed to cause issues for, but it was very interesting and very entertaining, to say the least. And I was also one of the guys involved in this pileup, and I think Timo will he will gladly tell you all about that day, as it was an amazing commentary experience from his side. Hopefully we don't have that happen again today. But we'll see, as George Rosu leads the pack with Dominic Illington right behind him and Ben Lowes in P3. And we have the Nissan in P4, Tommy Assetto in P5, and the rest of the grid slowly but surely starting to warm up their tires to get ready to attack the mountain that is to come. 25 drivers on the grid today, so a good show out, as always, as we have had this season, and I look forward to seeing how these drivers are able to perform. Beautiful track conditions. It says it's going to be a little bit cloudy, a little bit sunny, but no rain is forecasted at the moment, so that is going to be a big factor when it comes to racing here at Bathurst. We've had Mount Panorama before with rain, and it's I wouldn't say chaotic, but a lot of solo accidents have happened when this is the case. But this time around, it'll be less solo accidents. I think more, let's just say, respectful racing. I hope, at least. We'll have to wait and see when the race starts, but we have 1 hour. I don't remember the pit stop rules just yet, if someone can remind me in chat, but I believe it's the 25 seconds fuel timer, so you don't need to change tires, I don't think, but you have to stay in the pit lane for 25 seconds and refuel at least 1 liter, I believe is the rule. If someone in chat can let me know if that is the case, do so, because we've raced with quite a lot of rules here to us, and I've only just gotten access to my rig yet again after quite a long break, so I'm still trying to catch up to everything. But all I know is we're definitely have a brilliant race on our hands, and look at the sky, it's absolutely beautiful here at Mount Panorama in Australia. One of the most scenic tracks to race on, I think, especially in the sunset. It's a bit blinding though if you going down in the downhill section. You can be quite flabbergasted by the sun, if you could say the least. But it is very beautiful, especially in the early mornings or the late evenings. Although today I believe we do race at like 3 p.m. At the track, so there won't be any sunsets or rises here today. But it's still such a scenic track for sure. Of course, there was the 12 hours of Bathurst a few weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago actually, and it came down to the wire with Porsche and Mercedes, I believe, battling out for P1 all the way until the end. But in the end it was the Mercedes of Lukas Stolz and 2 other drivers, I can't remember who was, that won the race, with the Porsche of Manthey Racing being just a couple of seconds behind. And actually I think P3 was involved in that battle as well, so that was a 12-hour race that went all the way down to the wire. And today we have a 1-hour race, which I can almost guarantee will go down to the wire. Some cars are slowly slotting into the grid position down the back straight. George Rosu leading the pack. I believe this is his first pole position here in 2S. I'm not sure, he joined a little bit like a couple of races ago. I don't know if he got pole positions those times around, but he definitely got pole position today, so congratulations to him. He's been a bit of an on-off driver for 2S, but it's nice to see him back doing a full season now. He was my teammate back in, what, season 6 or something. and I definitely remember we had some good fun times back then. It was great, and he's now put it on pole position, so it's great improvement from him, and also from the rest of the grid. I just want to quickly point that out to these drivers to keep improving day in, day out. Another improvement, I've said it before in the BMW Cup, but I'm going to say it again. Aiden Bailey in P10, leading silver class. I would not expect to have seen that last season, and here he is this season making it the best season he can have before he takes a little bit of a break from sim racing. But anyways, 1 corner to go. The cars are lined up, ready to take on the mountain. Let's see who's going to come out victorious. Slow wait, anticipating the green lights happens, and there the green. We are racing here at Bathurst. 1 hour clock starts ticking, and going into turn 1 we have Dominic Illigner trying to go around the outside of George Rosewood, but he doesn't manage to quite make a stick. We had the Tommy Azulin getting dropped by Sam Chumley as Sam Chumley makes the move around the outside. Ben Lowes is getting under attack by the Nissan GTR right there. Has actually got up the inside of Ben Lowes somehow. That is amazing straight line speed that Nissan GTR has. Oh, as he backs out, almost hitting the back of Dominic Illigner there. Almost causing a collision behind him as well, as Ben Lowes had to take a bit of escaping action there. Sam Chumley on the outside, going into the mountain section. Is not the ideal place to be. Tommy Azulin making the most of this positioning from Sam, but he's not able to make a move to capitalize on it. Right behind him, we have Nico Veldman as well, getting under attack by Jack Colley, and the rest of the field has made it. Most of them have made it through turn 1 and first up the mountain section to start with, but we'll have to wait and see until the main straight. But so far it's been a good start on the first lap. Someone's been touching the grass a little bit, but no one losing control of the car just yet. And Jack Colley right behind Nico Veldman, trying to make moves, or just staying behind really, to maybe to capitalize on the exit on Forest Elbows. And this Nissan actually of Scheibner, who seems to have a little bit of damage. So I missed that of him going into the wall. There seems to be contact with the number 49 at some point as well. I'm not sure if we can catch on the replays, but we have here we go, Nico Veldman right up behind Scheibner. That Nissan GTR straight line speed from Nico Veldman is insane as he makes the overtake up the inside, and the GTR loses a couple of positions on the opening lap there, as he had a brilliant start, but I don't know what happened. He might have hit the wall somewhere and got put out of position. So Veldman up to P6 now, I believe, and Scheibner down to P7 after starting in P4 and making up some moves as well on the opening lap. So unfortunate start from him, but it's got a long race to go, and he still has time to make amends for any of the damages he might had on the first lap. That is at the moment. So Ollie Stricker as well, jumping over the curves, trying to make a move on Baudetto, but that's only put him into the clutches of Feuerherd and Van der Hooding right behind him. We have Van der Hooding on the inside, going up the inside. Ollie Stricker, and that's made him slow down a little bit, and the McLaren behind him bonks him, because Ollie slows down more than is expected. But that was a brilliant move from Van der Hooding, caught Ollie by surprise, and he makes a position, and then behind the McLaren was unfortunate to get caught out by a slower moving car through the first corner there. That was a brilliant move there for Van der Hooding, and Ollie Stricker moves down a position down to 16, I believe. But anyways, there's also a battle brewing with Aiden Bailey at the moment, as he's right up behind Nico, actually that's not Nico, that is Spezzani, who is currently P10 in the Audi, and right behind we have Antoine Olive and Jorge Pietro. They were very close to each other going into this mountain section, and they have a nice little battle going on between themselves. Just reading in the chat, and someone says lost 2 places as well, and a little bit of a mistake there from the Audi driver. Aiden Bailey getting caught out a little bit, just a little bit of rubbing and racing there, but I think all the drivers are surviving through the downhill section at the moment, and it looks like Spezzani just caught a little bit of grass, managed to catch the Audi going in a straight line without flying into any walls, but that was a scary moment. Oh, Aiden Bailey getting very close to the corner there. Almost thought he was going to go into the wall there, but he manages to keep the car nice and clean, pushing the car to the absolute limits. He is, but Ben Lowes, is someone else going to limits? Oh, that's Dominic Illigner with damage actually, so he might have had an incident with the Nissan earlier on. I'm going to have to look at the replay because I can't find it anywhere that these two have had contact, which is a bit of a shame because I really want to see what's happened. But anyways, Ben Lowes makes a move past Dominic Illigner up to P2. George Rose is slowly but surely running away with this already, and Ben Lowes has a lot of big job ahead of him to do. to catch up to that P1 position, but he is currently in P2 with a brilliant move on Dominic Illigner, who seems to have quite a lot of damage on the front of his car. That could definitely play into the hands of a championship contender, Tommy Aslin, who is just behind him. They're in P5 at the moment, who is also just behind Sam Chumley. As all these guys will want to make moves as soon as possible, because a damaged car over the mountain section can cost you a lot of time. And if they can make the move beforehand, then that would be great. And in the background we see the Nissan of Schneibler and Colley in the McLaren battling side by side, and looked like Schneibler just managed to stay ahead for now with the damaged Nissan, and Colley will have to stay behind and maybe make a move on the next straights. As we're going into the mountain section now, we all know that it's very difficult to overtake on the mountain section, that's for sure. As we have a bit of a Brandon Hooding, he dropped a few positions. I don't really see what happened there. I think Jack Mills managed to make his way past, so that is Mills up into P2 provisional in silver class, but he's also made his way past Brandon Hooding. But there's a better battle going on up front, with Dominic Illigner being quite slow through the mountain section with his damage. Understandably so, because you lose about 2 seconds per lap just through the mountain section, because you need that downforce on the front to get the car to turn in. And also his confidence will be a bit locked, to be honest, because he doesn't know exactly how the car is going to react. The Audi is very sketchy already as it is. With damage on top, it's even sketchier. But here they begin the train of cars trying to get past Dominic Illigner. It looks like Sam didn't get the best exit that he needed to get past Illigner on this straight alone, but Tommy Aslin got a brilliant exit, going side by side with Sam Chumley into the chase. And they're going 3 wide. Sam Chumley in the middle of Dominic Illigner. Tommy Aslin up the inside, makes 2 moves in one, 2 positions in one move. Brilliant stuff from Tommy Aslin. Sam Chumley has to back out, and Nico Veltman takes a position right there. What a fight that was. A little bit of rubbing between all the cars, but they all managed to get through safely. Illigner diving out of the way, Sam in the middle, Aslin making 2 positions up the inside, and that's allowed Aslin to get up to P3, and he is now chasing down Ben Lowes and George Roaster to try and get that P1 spot, and that's going to be a huge implications to Dominic Illigner as he goes straight into the pit lane, and that could cost him the lead in the championship if everything is unfolding the way it is. Brilliant move there from Tommy Aslin, great car control from Sam Chumley, and brilliant race awareness from Dominic Illigner. What a battle that was between these 3 drivers, but it's not over yet, as Nico Veltman is just behind Tommy Aslin, and Sam Chumley is still just as hungry for that podium position, and they're all chasing down each other at the moment, and this is going to be such a great battle to continue watching. But we're going into the mountain section, and anything can happen here, and it looks like at the moment as Sam Chumley is managing to maintain himself in composure as he's chasing Nico Veltman down, who's chasing... Oh, Nico's into the wall! That's a huge hit! Brilliant reactions from Sam Chumley, but Nico Veltman has just thrown it away for fast forward racing. If Timo was here today, he would be crying, as both his team members have had a huge accident. We will be able to watch the replay of this. Let's see what happens. So we go on board with Nico Veltman, that we know the Audi is very sketchy. I think he just clipped the curb a bit too hard here and unsettled the car, and overcorrection into the wall, bang into the other wall, and that is huge damage for Nico Veltman, and he's going to be kicking himself with frustration, because that is an early on mistake to make, and that is a bit of a rare mistake from Nico as well, as he usually is quite a good driver in these mountains, but he just gets passed by Antoine Olive. He's got massive damage to that car, and that is his podium hopes over for sure. He's going to have to come into the pit lane and repair that damage, just like his teammate Dominic Illigner. It's all unfolded for fast forward racing today. It's gone wrong in so many ways, and that is Martin Bryan parked at the end of the... Oh, there's a car going the wrong way. I wonder what happened between these 2 drivers. We can catch a replay here at the moment. So it looks like at the moment it's just Ranoja in front, and he's going fine. Oh, he gets tapped in the rear by the Ferrari, and then he decides to drive the wrong way of the racetrack, it seems. But he's got himself pointed in the right direction now, and luckily there's no cars behind him, so all is good in that sense. So a bit of a weird incident between these 2 drivers. I think the Ferrari is carrying a bit of overspeed into the downhill section there, and Ranoja got caught out by surprise, so he has a little bit of damage now, dropped down some positions, but a bit unlucky for the DRS driver of Michael Ranoja. Aiden Bailey, who's currently leading Silver class, is putting on a charge at the moment. He's got a huge gap between himself and P2 and Silver. There is 8 positions between them, so all he really has to do is just keep the car on track. And I hope I haven't commentated curses him now, because That would be a bit of a shame, but Aiden Bailey doing a great job so far and actually applying pressure to Blinde Vinci, who's the Mercedes right ahead of him. And it looks like Blinde Vinci is succumbing a little bit to that pressure. He's a little bit all over the road, coming to the mountain section, he's getting close to the walls now. Let's see how Aiden Bailey is able to navigate this section at the moment behind the Mercedes. So I find it always a bit more difficult to follow a car. Ooh, huge slide from the Mercedes. That is not looking like a stable GT3 car, but Blinde Vinci doing beautifully to control it through the mountain section. But I wonder if he can keep this going for another 50 minutes of this race. Aiden Bailey almost kissing the rear end of the Mercedes. He keeps sliding out yet again. I wonder what setup he's got. Running low wing maybe for the long straight speed. Oh, a little bit of a tap there from the on the rear bumper of Blinde Vinci. But we'll see on the straight. It looks like the Mercedes is a bit of an overspeed on the BMW, but now the BMW tucks into the slipstream. Aiden Bailey looking to make a move around the outside into the next corner, which will become the inside for the chase, and I think they will manage to get through it in one piece. Yes, they do. Aiden Bailey up the inside. Does he brake later than Blinde Vinci? Yes, he does. Does he manage to stay ahead? So far, so good. He's got the move done. He's got one more corner to defend, and then that move is pretty much guaranteed to be his. But right behind him is Antoine Olive, who is also looking to capitalize on this mistake from Blinde Vinci. And Aiden Bailey makes a brilliant textbook move up the inside there of Blinde Vinci, and up to P6 he goes, making that gap behind him even larger for silver class. He's done brilliantly so far this race, and now Antoine Olive is looking to put his sights onto Blinde Vinci to make a just as good as a pass, if not better, because we know Antoine Olive is a brilliant racing driver, and he can do a lot of wonders in that Lamborghini. It seems to be his a bit of a fan favorite for him, and also for the rest of us, I guess. Antoine in the Lamborghini, it makes sense, you know. It's something. It's like a familiar sight. It's like coming home after a long trip. The world is right when Antoine's in a Lambo. Anyways, I'm gonna stop waffling on about Antoine's Lambo and join this battle here between Spezzani, Ruben van der Hutting, and Jorge Prieto. Right on the rear wing of Spezzani at the moment in the Audi, and we have Pietro and Noppen actually behind him. So 3 BMWs behind these guys, the Audi here at the moment, going through the mountain. And let's see how this unfolds. A little bit of a slide there actually, and Ruben's got a bit of an overspeed, but he has to be careful because overtaking on the mountain. Oh, that is a crashing Blinde Vinci going down the mountain. Hopefully not getting in the way. Oh, huge crash as he collects 2 drivers, and I believe he collected Pietro as well in the background. I'm going to have to go back on that one because that was very interesting indeed. So that was Blinde Vinci who lost it down the mountain there. You can see as we go into Helicam, and the Audi had nowhere to go. There's a spinning Mercedes blocking the road. Pietro jumps into the wall, and it looks like Noppen and Van der Hutting managed to get out of that without really a scratch. But that was a huge mistake from Blinde Vinci. We were saying earlier that Mercedes looks very unstable, and he was not able to control it for a full hour. And that is the McLaren of Van Geffen having to let through the Nico Veldman at the moment. Didn't actually let him through. Wait, is Nico Veldman? He's unlapping himself, or the timing board's gone a bit messed up, to be honest. But that was huge incident there from Blinde Vinci, and Noppen and Van der Hutting managed to make it through. Both of these drivers, previous Trigon Racing drivers, without a scratch. Ruben's got quite a lot of front damage, and Noppen has managed to capitalize on this situation. Now we have Alexander Diakowski joining this battle as well, who doesn't have any damage on this car. He's going to want to get past these 2 drivers as quickly as possible. So that was a very unfortunate incident. Blinde Vinci just blocking the whole downward section. The Audi had been nowhere to go, punting him off into a different dimension, and then Pietro sadly getting caught by the spinning Mercedes. Diakowski going up the inside into turn 2 of Ruben van der Hutting. A bit of an easy move there as Ruben has to let the position go. He doesn't have the front end grip to keep the car going, unfortunately, and Diakowski makes up a position there. I was very unlucky for all the drivers involved in this, that Blinde Vinci lost his Mercedes on that downhill section. That was a very unfortunate incident. They're all running so closely to each other, and the Mercedes just dropped it. Nothing they could do to avoid them. They all hit the brakes as soon as they saw what happened, but it was too little too late. And Diakowski plays with fire and decides to kiss the wall a little bit there, but it looks like he managed to survive without any major implications, and he's chasing down Noppen at the moment, going into the downhill section. It looks like Noppen is a bit more damaged than I thought he would. His car is not turning in the way he would have hoped, I think, so Diakowski might be able to make another move on this lap against Noppen to go into P8. nice to see Higgsy in the chat, supporting his fellow VVDL drivers. They're doing really well so far. I'm gonna touch some wood, and hopefully didn't commentate Kurt's anything. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be proud, and I'm sure also Higgsy, you have a brilliant memories of this racetrack. Oh, as Noppen dives the inside to defend against Diakowski. It's completely legal to do so, but Diakowski jumps onto the brakes as he has to react to Noppen blocking and defending his line, but he gets a bit of a better exit now. He's going to send it up the inside into the last corner. It looks like he's decided to stay out of it and make his move into turn 2 like he did on Van den Hooding the previous lap. We can see that the Aston Martin is currently faster in the straight line, so it's a bit of a question of getting a better exit and also a matter of how he uses the slipstream to his advantage. And talking about better exit, he is right up the rear of Ryan Noppen, and it would surprise me if they are if they're not going to swap positions. So Diakowski now getting closer and closer and closer and closer. He's going up the inside, and Noppen's going to see that in his rearview mirrors. He's got the going ahead into the corner, and he stays around the outside, somehow managing to defend his position without making the racing line. A brilliant defensive driving from Ryan Noppen there. Diakowski not able to get up the inside at the moment. These two drivers continue to battle throughout the mountain, and this is a brilliant little scrap we have on our hands. Excuse me. I do apologise for being a little bit rusty. It's been a while since I've done a commentary job, but it's absolutely brilliant being back at it. I love it. I have been missing it. Might be joining Timo at some point as Go comes, but no promises. I've quite a bit busy schedule, but this Monday it just happened to have a free one, and Timo happened to have to go be somewhere else, so that's why it is how it is today. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. I'm definitely enjoying the race so far. Already had 16 minutes pass by, and yeah, they're just going to get better. So you're going to get into the pit stop soon, and that always changes things up a little bit. I can't really remember what the rules are, but speaking of changing things, oh, Diakowski again trying to get past Noppen, but he's braking a bit too much for my liking, to be honest. It's going to ruin his momentum, but it doesn't matter. So it seems like he's trying to get side by Noppen, and it looks like he will have the inside for the next corner. It looks to see how they survive this little kink, and it does look like he will be ahead for the next corner. Noppen breaks a little bit later though. Will he be able to keep it around the outside like he did before? And yes, he does. He manages to defend around the outside. Brilliant stuff from Ryan Noppen, and Alexander Diakowski is just not able to capitalize on this BMW driver at the moment. He has the faster car, he's got the pace, but Noppen is doing an amazing job keeping it ahead of the Aston Martin behind him. Brilliant racing between these two drivers. Respect is given where it's needed, and it's really refreshing to seeing stuff like this happen. And I thought for sure Diakowski would have Noppen into that corner, but it looks like that BMW is super strong on the brakes. But we'll go again as we jump on board with Diakowski, as he will try one more time. It looks like he's going to go for the inside for this corner, and actually he's decided to for the outside, as Noppen's been great at defending the outside. Let's see how Noppen defends the inside, and does it just as well as he defends the outside. Brilliant stuff. Diakowski's stuck behind Ryan Noppen. Nothing he can do at the moment. Just has to sit behind and wait. That's all he can do. And hopefully also pressure him into a mistake. That's what at least that's what Alexander is hoping for. But anyways, let's go have a look at Dominic Illigner, who is the leader of the pit stoppers actually, so he's actually got quite a few positions on him. He could still be in contention, you know, for something, somewhat of a decent result, because I don't see such, like Scheibner, he also had damage, but he is quite some margin behind him. Van den Hooding also had some damage, Wellman had a lot of damage, so but they're all quite a bit behind Dominic Illigner, so he could be in contention for maybe a top 5 at the end of the race, to be honest, as I don't remember him having too much damage, just a little bit of a front end. That was costing him through the mountain section, but that's definitely repaired now, and we know he's a brilliantly fast driver, probably one of the fastest on the track at the moment. Let's just quickly have a look at his last lap in a 2:02.4, and oh, okay, never mind. George Rosu, Ben Lowes, and Tommy Haslin all in 2:01s, and Sam Chumley in a 2:02 flat. So okay, so he's running top 5 pace at the moment. But if he just keeps it up the wall and keeps it clean, he could definitely still be in contention with these other drivers. But anyways, it looks like Diakowski has finally made it past Ryan Noppen. Not able to catch that replay, but Noppen dives into the pit lane, and hopefully I'm going to try and see if I can find the overtake on the replays. It doesn't seem to be there now. Sorry, but yeah, he's finally made it past, but Noppen dives straight away into the pit lane. And I think he was just hoping to keep Diakowski behind him for as long as possible. So the field is a little bit spread out at the moment, people getting into their own rhythm, into their own groove. Andrew Moulton says he will run him down, Blood, and he's currently running down Van Geffen in the McLaren, or Van Geffen. I do apologize if I pronounce it wrong. The bright orange Dutch McLaren there. It seems like he's lapping a little bit quicker at the moment compared to Van Geffen in front of him. So this could be a battle brewing on our hands, but it could also just be false, wishful thinking, I think is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how this battle unfolds. Currently, it looks like Moulton is actually falling behind a little bit, so yeah, this was just a little bit more wishful thinking. Everyone else is also into their own rhythm, so let's have a look at George Rosu, who's actually coming. You see, that was Van den Hudding ahead of him, so he's actually lapped a little bit of the field already. Has George Rosu. He might decide to come into the pit lane a little bit early, a little bit late. We'll have to see how he does his undercut or overcut. We know that it can be quite powerful to do an undercut on this track, because you get your tires into the right temperature and you don't ruin your flow as much. It's quite a short pit lane as well, so the undercut's a bit more viable than the overcut here. But George Rosu is just doing lap after lap, 2017. Brilliant stuff, and then we have Benders behind him. Let's see what he's able to do. Last one, he's doing a 2019. Tommy Hauser then 2022. So they're also slowing. The lap times are falling a little bit now, so I think the tire wear is beginning to kick in on these cars, but it's still only it's an hour race. Technically, the tires could last the whole race and still be fine, but they will have the choice to change them halfway through the race. I don't think it's mandatory to change tires though, so some people can decide to not change them, save 5 seconds in the pit lane, or do change it and try and hope they gain those 5 seconds again when they leave the pit lane. So there's a yellow flag, and that is number 71 who was into the wall, but it looks like he's returned to the pit lane. Let's try and catch a replay of what happened to him. That was really bizarre. He just turned in, jumps, and then into the pit lane, and maybe some sort of mechanical failure, because the car just sort of looked like it buckled underneath him in turning. That was a bit of a bizarre incident. And he's also left the race now, so okay. I guess that was a mechanical failure then. That's a bit unfortunate for the number 71 driver, but he'll have to take the DNF today. Keep in mind that it is top 30 drivers that get points. I'm not sure. We changed our point system as well. I can't remember anymore. Someone please let me know. I do apologize. But we're currently looking at Björn Schneiber, who was actually in podium contention. I think even he was in the podium positions on the first lap, but then he had some sort of contact either with himself or Dominic Illigner, because they both had damage on the cars, and he went to pit quite early on, and he's currently trying to make up for all the lost positions from going into the pit lane. But he's got the back marker of Ranoja in front of him, but then he has another 5 seconds to get past or up to Ryan Noppen, who's all the way up ahead, as you see just saw on the screen there. But he's a quick driver for sure, and making that list and do what it does is quite impressive. It's nice to see and refreshing to see a different car on the grid compared to the Audis and the BMWs and the McLarens and Astons that we usually see. So it's just a fresh breath of fresh air, really. A fresh of breath air. I was just about to say that. Anyways, just over half the race left to go. People have sort of fallen into their own rhythm. Schneiber is doing a brilliant job trying to catch up. He's currently doing 2:02.4s at the moment. So not the worst lap times at the moment, but it's also not the best ones. But I think it's enough if he manages to keep the pace. Depending on how badly the pit stops for the other drivers go, you probably get a top 10 finish or so. At least top 10 in the pro class. I'm led to believe. But speaking of classes, Aidan Bailey is doing a brilliant job as well at the moment, as he's just lapping a car there, and that is the McLaren of Jack Mills, who is another Silver driver who was in P2 at some point for Silver, but he's dropped all the way down. I think that's on pit stops alone, or was there damage at some point? Looks like there was actually a crash between Jack Mills and Van den Hudding, but if it was a damage-inflicting crash, I don't know. But there definitely was contact of some sort, so maybe he had to repair the damage in the pit lane. Aidan Bailey running it very close to the walls here. It's very fine margins, but that is how you race at Bathurst, and I'm loving seeing this. This is brilliant stuff. Great car control from Aidan Bailey at the moment in Silver class. He's currently P6 overall and over 20 seconds ahead. Actually, nearly. Quickly do the maths. So he is 14 plus 7. So that is 21 plus 9, so 32 seconds ahead of the next driver in class. So he's absolutely dominating silver today in that BMW. So brilliant stuff from Aiden Bailey at the moment. Let's just hope he can bring it home, because he definitely deserves to have a great result today. Brilliant drive so far for him. And the next guy in class is Andrea Baudetto in the Ferrari, who's just coming down the downhill section. I'll just give you an idea of how far away these two drivers are on track. As I just calculated, so just over 30 seconds. That is a lot of time in half an hour to have gained on the next guy in class. And Aiden Bailey is a very, very comfortable margin between himself and the other drivers, and hopefully he uses that to his advantage and doesn't push himself too hard and maybe cause an accident. But now I've commentator's curse because I talked about him too much, so hopefully nothing goes wrong. But you never know with Bathurst. It can give you just as much glory in 1 minute, and in the next minute it'll spit you out and throw you into the bin, and you will be sat there feeling horrible. It takes just a split second, just a little bump on the track, and you are in the walls with no chance of repairing that car or saving it in any way, shape or form. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time around. It's just as much glory as heartbreak on this track, is what I'm trying to say, really. Let's have a look at Antoine Olive, who was also running a little bit behind Aiden Bailey, not in contention for class positions, but he's overall positions on track. I'm sure Antoine Olive would like to race against Aiden Bailey at some point, as it is more interesting to race someone. Look at the sparks coming off that Lamborghini. It's just such an enjoyable car to watch. Let's have a look on the onboard of Antoine going down this downhill section, because this will definitely be fun. Shifting all the way into first gear to try and get that car rotated. I know the Lamborghini is a bit more understeery compared to the other cars, but Anton's doing a great job to minimize that understeer. You can see it's just the front end is not turning in as much as some of the other cars have been doing at the moment, so he's struggling a little bit with this car, but he's still doing a brilliant job with it. And it's great fun to watch. With that, the party piece of this car is the V10 engine. Oh my god, listen to the sound of that. Of course, the Lamborghini, it shares the same engine as the Audi R8, but I think Lamborghini, the way they do it, is just they tune the exhaust a little bit better, so it sounds a bit more throaty, a bit more aggressive. Let's find a Lamborghini to go on board, an Audi to go on board with Sam Chumley, just to try and see the difference. You can hear it's a little bit lower pitched, a little bit less aggressive, a little bit tuned down compared to the Lamborghini engine of Antoine Olive, which we'll go on board with now. There's not much difference in it, to be honest, but I feel like the Lamborghini just screams a little bit more compared to the Audi. You guys let me know what you think. But definitely they share the same engine and pretty much the same chassis as well in real life, I really, but I don't think the GT3s are in any way, shape or form similar. But at least they're still running the V10s, and only the last V10s out there you can buy today, actually. Because they are axing the Huracan, and also the R8 has also had its final party piece set, as everyone keeps going electric or downsizing the engines to V8, so enjoy it while you can, because what an engine they've made, and it's brilliant to watch them racing here in the mountain. Beautiful sound as well. So I did say we might not see any sunset or sunrise, but it looks like the lights have come on the cars, so it could be we're going into the later stages of the afternoon now. Slash evening of Mount Panorama, as Sam Chumley definitely has his lights on at the moment. It's not needed just yet, I'd say, but it's a little bit darker than at the start of the race, that's for sure. As we slowly but surely go into nighttime. Maybe it was starting at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. even, which is why the track conditions are relatively cold compared to what they usually are at Bathurst. So sometimes the track has been up to like 30, 35 degrees. Celsius, and that is Nico Veldman in the wall yet again, and he's reset to the pit lane. I'm not going to let him forget that so quickly, but oh, that was a huge incident. That is 15 seconds ago. Huge crash for Nico Veldman, the champion of Season 9. He's parked it on the side, he's returned to the pit lane, and I think he is going to wait for that damage to repair itself before he leaves the pit lane yet again, but he is currently 21st out of 22nd on track. But that is Ben Lowes as well into the pit lane, so the first of the pit stoppers for the leading pack. See, he's trying to do an undercut. We also have Aiden Bailey coming into the pit lane, followed very closely behind him is Antoine Oliva, so that will be very interesting to watch as that unfolds. And that is actually Scheibner getting past Martin Bryan over the mountain section. As you see, Martin Bryan has quite a lot of damage in the front end of that Ferrari, so that is an actually position change on track at the moment for the Nissan here, as he just managed to get his way past the Ferrari. But that Martin Bryan will probably come into the pit lane this lap due to the damage he's got, and also the pit stint making sense to pit now. Then we have Feuerherd, I believe that's how you pronounce it, against Bardetto. Bardetto off the track. Is he able to keep the car under control? Yes, he is. And while that happens, Feuerherd, is able to capitalize on the mistake from Bardetto and move himself up into the P15 position as he just grazes the walls of the Shannon's sponsoring on the side there. And that is another car that is in the wall. That is number 34 of Van Geffen. That's a huge incident. Let's have a look on the replay, see what happened there. It looks like, oh, he's just dropped it on the downhill section. That is Tommy Aslin. Sam Chumley behind. No, Sam Chumley gets collected by Van Geffen, who has dropped it on the mountain section. So that is going to hinder Sam Chumley hugely. But Tommy Aslin luckily survives through that incident there. So that is not going to be good news spelled out for Sam Chumley. And hopefully he doesn't have too much damage. And there's another yellow flag, and the car instantly reset to pit lane there. It's all kicking off now, I think, as the concentration is slowly but surely going away from these drivers. And Sam, he will have to make a decision now. Is he going to pit with the damage, or is he just going to continue as it is? And it looks like he's going to continue just to see how bad the damage actually is on his car. And we have Ben Lowes out leading the pit stoppers, 25 seconds ahead of Aiden Bailey. George Rosu now in the pit lane. So I'm going to cut to Ben Lowes because this could be very interesting to see how it compares to George Rosu. But look how far he is behind. It looks like George Rosu has an easy, comfortable lead at the moment of about 5 seconds, if not more even, depending on how it all pans out. So Tommy Aslin as well is currently going to be leading the race just for this lap until he decides to pit. And George Rosu is still in the pit lane at the moment, not leaving it just yet. And we have Ben Lowes coming to the final section now, and just looking at the track map and starting to see that number 26 slowly but surely starting to move, and into the final corner comes Ben Lowes. And now George Rose has been dropped off his stilts, and he's slowly making his way out of the pit lane, and I think he's going to get out ahead of Ben Lowes, but it's not going to be a big margin between them. Ben Lowes will come, there he is, coming around the corner, and I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds between these two drivers. So George Rose maybe make a little bit of a mistake in the pit lane, but he does come out ahead, and is provisionally is net P1 at the moment, as Tommy Aslin still needs to head into the pit lane. And Diakowski as well, actually the teammate of Tommy Aslin in P2. He somehow has managed to sneak his way all the way up there. That is great stuff. But actually, wait a minute. What is happening? Wait, what? How? Oh, okay, never mind. The timing sheet just hasn't updated. It says that Jack Colley was ahead of Ben Lowes, and I'm got very confused there, because Ben Lowes... Where is Ben Lowes? Ah, there he is. Okay. So it's just updated for me. I got a bit confused there. I thought Jack Colley would overtake him in the pit lane somehow. So interesting, that one. But he's come out ahead of Aiden Bailey, has Jack Colley. He's doing quite good for himself at this rate. And Sam Chumley as well into the pit lane and out of the pit lane now. I thought he went for another lap though. Apparently not. Oh well. So Jack Colley overtakes Sam Chumley in the pit lane, or in the pit stops. So he's up to net P4, and Sam in P5, and Aiden Bailey in P6. Dominic Ehlers, as I said, he could be in contention at the end of the race, and he's currently in net P8 at the moment, or even P7, depending on where Diakowski is. And Tommy Aslin now pulls into the pit lane, and I know he was, I think, about 12 seconds behind Ben Lowes, so I don't think he's going to jump any of these drivers in the pit lane, but he's going to have to be a bit careful, because Jack Colley, even though Jack Colley is only at the start of the straight now, he might still be able to jump in the pit lane depending on how it goes. But we see Tommy Aslin parked there, very nice, probably having a little bit of a break, to be honest. But George Rosu coming down to the last corner now, so he's definitely going to make up a position on Tommy Aslin as he goes back into that net P1 position. George Rosu actually doing a brilliant job. Usually we know him for his qualifying pace, but he's actually shown today that he's got brilliant race pace as well. So there's a huge improvement from this driver from Romania as well, which is brilliant to see. You'd love to see improvement. And that is the first drive-through of the race for Martin Bryan. I'm not quite sure how you get a drive-through at Bathurst. That is interesting. It's not a track that's known to give you drive-throughs, so you can't really cut any corners unless you cut the chase. I wonder how he got that. Maybe he did cut the chase and they just decided to give him an instant drive-through. I don't know. We'll have to leave that up to the stewards, but he's got a drive-through, that's for sure, and that's not given by any in-game stewards because we don't have live stewarding. We do post-race stewarding. So that is a very interesting penalty for the Ferrari driver right there, Martin Bryan. But okay, interesting. But anyways, Aiden Bailey coming up behind Sam Chumley, and Sam Chumley has decided to repair his Audi. As you see, the front end is much less damaged now than it was a couple of minutes ago. But he's chasing him down very hard, and this could be a brilliant little scrap on our hands. Look how closely Sam and Aiden Bailey are running those cars to the wall. That is brilliant stuff, absolute. I just love watching cars go through the mountain. It doesn't take much to get entertained on this racetrack. It is so brilliant. Look, the sparks flying from underneath when they bottom out, and here we go into the downhill section. Aiden Bailey jumping close to the walls, hitting the curb at the right moment, hugging the inside there, setting up his corner for the next bit, and he's beautifully navigated the downhill section following Sam Chumley as well. Sam Chumley also flying, tops the wall slightly there with his rear end. Oh, that's the wall, that's a bit too close to Aiden Bailey. It turns in a bit too early there. That's going to cost him some time and some damage, but hopefully not enough to unsettle his lead too much. It doesn't look like the car is too damaged. I know they can give you about 2-3 seconds, so he's going to have to take a bit more easy now. As damage is, it can snowball a bit. If you get a little bit of damage, the next time you hit something, it can give you a lot more than it should have. But he's in such a comfortable lead for silver. I can't even calculate that anymore. That is way too many people in that gap. The next person he's fighting is down in P15 at the moment, and Aiden Bailey is in P7, or actually going to be P6 once he passes Alexander Diakowski in the pit lane. But actually, Diakowski is leaving the pit lane, but I still think he's going to get passed both by Sam Chumley and Aiden Bailey. And that is Aiden Bailey you see around in the corner right there. So Aiden Bailey, in P6, and the next guy is down in P15. So he has 9 positions between himself and the next guy in silver class. So he will want to take it a little bit easier. But that was a little bit of a heart and mouth moment there for Aiden Bailey as he taps the inside wall. But then we have trouble coming, as well as we have Dominic Illigner coming, flying as fast as he can in that Audi. He sets his best lap time of the race at 2:01.8, and he sets that last lap. He's got his eyes on the prize right in front of him. He has the back marker of Martin Bryan that he quickly needs to navigate through, and then he's got Antoine Olive, then Aiden Bailey, then Sam Chumley, and then he's back into the top 5, which would have been a brilliant recovery from Dominic Illigner. He is the championship leader at the moment with 10 points over Tommy Azelin, and he's going to do anything he can in his might to make sure that gap does not decrease any less than it has to. But it's first got to navigate through Martin Bryan, who's really struggling on this mountain section, and I know he's got Diakowski behind him as well now, so that is something to think about. This is getting slowed down quite a lot by this back marker, but there's nothing the back marker can do. He can't really let anyone go on the mountain sections. That would be quite dangerous. So he has to wait until the straight and just hope that there's no one that crashes in front of him as he's looking to make a move there. Almost touches the wall. That was very sketchy driving there from Dominic Illigner, but everyone survived it. So now he's going to go, and the back marker lets him pass, but he does have Alexander Diakowski behind him, who spells a little bit of trouble, so that would have hampered Dominic Illigner's charge a little bit. He was getting so close to the other drivers, but then he got stuck behind Martin Bryan over the mountain section. Nothing Martin Bryan can do. It's a difficult section to let someone pass on, so it's dangerous to do so. And he did the right thing of letting him go on the straight. But is Diakowski going to make a move up the inside? No, he's not. He stays behind Dominic Illigner for now. And Illigner now has 6 seconds to catch up on compared to Antoine Olive and Aiden Bailey ahead of him. And it was 2 seconds at the beginning of the lap. So that was a huge deficit that he's lost there compared to the other drivers. But he will be able to regain it quickly. Antoine Olive last lap was a 2:02.1, which is and Aiden Bailey at 2:02.1, but we know Dominic Illigner was doing 2:01.8, so he's running a little bit quicker than the other two, so he will definitely be closer enough eventually. But it does also have to worry about Alexander Diakowski in his rear view mirrors. He's giving me a little bit of a hard time, I think, actually. He has to worry about him, especially on the straights. I don't think in the mountain section you need to worry so much. On battles, you definitely want to always look forward in the mountain section when you're racing, but Diakowski is in his mirrors, and that could put him off his game a little bit, but we know he's a very talented driver, Illigner is, so I don't think it will be too much of an issue. But yeah, that costing him dearly, getting stuck behind the Ferrari there on that mountain section, because otherwise I would think that he would be up behind Anton Liebe now, potentially even making a pass once they go down the straight, and then he would be into the clutches of Aiden Bailey next. Well, sorry, Aiden Bailey in the clutches of Illigner next, and he would have to make a move on that one as well. Anyways, a little bit of excitement with 20 minutes to go of the race. The leaders are sort of spacing out a little bit. George Rose for 6 seconds on Ben Lowes. Tommy Azelin 12 seconds behind Ben Lowes. So Dave and Jack Colley 7 seconds behind Tommy Azelin. But it's a great show for VVDL today. I wonder how this is going to play out in the VVDL Championship. I believe Jack Colley will be leading by 1 point if it plays out the way it is at the moment. But I think Aiden Bailey should get a spectacular shout out today, because he's absolutely dominated Silver's field. Still 20 minutes to go, but I think I'm confident in saying now that Aiden Bailey will be the winner of Silver, because he's got such a huge gap to himself. But there is yellow flags in the mountain section. That is Ruben van den Hooydonk, who has found himself in the wall there. It doesn't look like it was contact with any other driver, so he just has to reset, and that was in the downhill section. Not been the race for him today ever since he got caught up with the accident early on with Blinde Vinkje. That was a nasty accident where he got the Mercedes blocked the downhill section. The Audi clattered into him, and Ruben van den Hooydonk got quite a bit hit as well from that incident. He's had quite a bit of an unlucky race ever since, and it just turns over for the worse yet again for Van den Hooydonk, and sadly he has to reset to the pit lane and slowly but surely make his way home on track to finish this race. To everyone watching, thank you very much for being here and keeping me company in the chat. It's always nice to see have some guys to talk to in the chat, and it's great to be a community as well. I know usually you guys have Timo on the comments, but today you have myself, Christian Stricker, and I think there was a SimGrid article written about 2S not so long ago, and it did say that it was myself and Timo that were holding down the commentary boxes, and it's kind of true. I mean, we are the two commentators as well, alongside Panda as well, who's did I think the first race and a couple of co-commentating this season. But yeah, we've also been a part of the back end admin team ever since the beginning of 2S. If you guys are interested in joining, feel free to look in the description of the of YouTube. You'll find a Discord link, and you can join us. And so just if you want to, just message an admin, and they will introduce you to everyone, or you can sign up directly with the SimGrid link in our Discord as well. You'll find all the right channels if you select the ACC role and get started with your racing at 2S today. You can join throughout the season, doesn't matter. If you want to race with us, feel free to do so. Speaking of racing, Björn Schneiber up behind Ryan Noppen at the moment, and that Nissan GTR is looking for a move to potentially go up the inside into the chase, but Ryan Noppen is a brilliant driver at defending around the outside. We saw that earlier when he was racing against Stajakowski, and he does it yet again. He's not afraid to get late onto the brakes, is Noppen, and I know the GTR is good on the brakes as well, but Noppen has been doing a brilliant defensive driving this whole race, and it's been great to see. Brilliant scraps between this driver and the guys he's been around with. Let's ride on board with Björn Schneiber, because maybe if he gets a better exit here, he'll be able to make a move into turn 2, but he gets quite a slidey exit. Looks like the BMW's got a better exit than him in front of him, so it's not close enough to make a move unless the top speed difference is huge, but I don't think it's that big compared to others. He's getting closer and closer, but he's not getting close enough, so we have to see over the mountain section if he can apply pressure onto Ryan Noppen. And maybe he's going to see Ryan Noppen make a mistake, or he'll be able to get a great exit out of the last Forest Elbow, that's the corner name, and then go down the straight and make a move into the chase. But so far, so good between these two drivers. It's just a normal Bathurst battle, really. Very close on the straights, and then in the mountain section they are so close to each other, but no one's really going for a move, and as soon as out of the mountain section they're side by side straight away. That's what I love about this track as well. You have to set up your move multiple corners before you actually make it. So it's all about rattling the opponent ahead of you. It's just making the brake a little bit too late, a little bit too deep, and then you can capitalize on the mistakes they make through the mountain as well. But there's also basically no margin for error, so if you push him too hard in front of you, he'll crash. And guess what? You'll be the first guy to visit that crash site. And that's not going to be a pretty sight to visit, especially in the downhill section when you have no time to react and nowhere to go but into the barriers. Getting closer into Forrest's elbow he was, but it looks like it's balanced out again with the exit. I think he's going to get closer again on the straight, but maybe not enough to make a move, and I think these two guys will be racing like this for quite some time, because Ryan Noppen and Schneiber have very similar pace at the moment. And then we go into the chase, and there's not much difference between these two drivers. Not able to make a move, Bernd Schneiber, as Noppen is doing a brilliant job keeping the guy, the Nissan behind him. So I thought Dominic Illigner would be making a bit more of a gain than he has. He got a bit hampered by the Ferrari. But you see he is inching closer to Antoine Olive. But Olive is also inching, he was actually, I think, kind of closer to Bailey than he is now. But I just saw quickly on the timing sheets that it looks like Bailey made a slight mistake and Antoine Olive was back into within 1.5 seconds. But not able to quite make it happen. But something that is happening, a battle into turn 2. In Nissan on the outside of the corner. Is he going to make the move around the outside? Looks like Noppen has the inside corner. He's going to get the better exit. And yes, he's going to let the GTR has to wash wide onto the marbles into the track, and he has to allow Ryan Noppen to maintain his position. A good attempt from the Nissan driver or Schneiber, but he's just not able to make it stick. As you can see, even now, all the marbles on the racing line, outside the racing line. And it makes that corner very slidey, and it's so easy to make a mistake if you're trying to make an overtake around the outside into that corner. And Noppen doing a brilliant job defending, as he has been doing this whole race. 14 minutes of the race to go. George Boso leads, Ben Loos in 2nd place, Tommy Aslin in 3rd, Jack Colley in 4th, we have Sam Chumley in 5th, and then the story between the leader of Silver Class of Bailey and Baudetta is one to behold. And then we have Antoine Live in 7th, Illigner also on a charge, trying to regain the positions he lost early on with some damage. And maybe at the final few races, or final few laps of this race, we'll see some brilliant action between Illigner and Antoine Olive, because Illigner is closing in on Olive, but it's not at the rate he would be hoping to close in on. So we jump back to the Lamborghini, the Tron-inspired Lamborghini of Antoine Olive. 13 minutes to go. He's sort of maintaining the gap between Aiden Bailey and himself. He probably knows that there's not really any need to really push hard and make that position up, because it is 4 seconds between Aiden Bailey and Sam Chumley. So that's quite a big gap with 30 minutes to go at Mount Panorama to make up. And Antoine Olive is a very smart driver, and that is the number 27 of Jack Mills into the wall. Oh no, it's every single time I've done a race stream, Jack Mills has managed to bottle it somehow, and it's been an ongoing joke for 11 seasons, and that doesn't change today as he cuts the curb too hard, manages to spin the car, and actually keeps it out of the wall. Well, props to Jack for keeping it out of the wall somehow, but that is a certified Mills no moment. I mean, he's not really got any positions to overtake on. He's P19 at the moment. The guy ahead of him is miles ahead, and the guy behind him is miles behind. So sort of racing in his own world at the moment, but that unfortunate incident there, Jack, and I'm not going to let you live that one down. Anyways, I saw a little bit of a flash of red on the Delta. Oh no, don't tell me Aiden Bailey. Oh no, Aiden Bailey's hit the wall. There's been an incident with Aiden Bailey. I'm going to try to see if... Oh, he's gone onto the curb, and Antoine Olive has managed to avoid it brilliantly, but he's gone into the wall. So that is the leader of Silver Class managing... Oh no, with 13 minutes to go, he's got huge damage on the front. Now he's going to have to just survive this race now to maintain his position against the other drivers in class. Dominic Illigner, I can see on the Delta at the moment, is making his way past, and we have Derakovsky in the background. 12 minutes to go of the race. If I was Aiden Bailey, I would just try and survive as much as I can, because he's got quite a lot of front damage, but it's not enough like damage to... If he goes into the pit, he will lose the positions, and he decides to stay out. Yes, he does. So he's going to have to nurse this car home. With 12 minutes to go, he somehow manages to drop it on the curb. He's doing an absolutely brilliant job, and I don't want to say a commentator cursed him, because I don't believe in that stuff, but I can't help but believe maybe it was a little bit of fault for this incident to happen. But he definitely has a big task ahead of him now, and he will, with a slight lapse of concentration, he'll be kicking himself, but now he really needs to get his head down and focus on the last 11 minutes of the race. It's only about 4 laps, and then, speaking of dropping it, Jack Mills has done it yet again, and he's facing in the wrong direction. Jack, what are you doing? Two spins in 2 laps, and he's on a bit of a track record here. He's got the Australian flag on his car. This is actually quite a nice camera angle. I think if we can quickly, we'll just wait patiently. Oh, that's Aiden Bailey! No, it's collected, Aiden Bailey! There's nowhere he can go. There's target fixation. It just gets worse and worse for Aiden Bailey. And Jack Mills, he'll be... that is very unfortunate, as he has to try and get his car to turn around. Somehow manages to not collect... Well, Aiden Bailey collected himself. That was hugely unfortunate on Aiden Bailey's part. I want to go on board and see what happened there between Aiden Bailey and see exactly what was going through his mind. Let's try and see. Oh, he's just going a little bit deep and he's got nowhere to go. It looks like the Costco's on his inside and he doesn't have the torque to turn in because of the damage on the front. That's even more damage on the front end of that car. And that is hugely borked front end on the front of Jack Mills as well. It's all kicking off now. Aiden Bailey, I beg, please, you got 10 minutes left. You got 5 laps to survive. Even if he loses 5 seconds a lap, it's still enough to stay ahead of the other guys in the silver class. I think he can even lose 6 seconds a lap and he'll stay ahead of the other guys in silver class. So he just needs to survive now to still win his class. But oh my god, his car is swerving on the straight. It is not looking like it's an easy car to drive at all. And I know, like I said, as soon as you get damage, it snowballs once you get damage again and again and again. So he cannot afford to take any more hits the way he is doing at the moment. Wow, it's all just kicked off in the last 10 minutes. And I can see Higgsy in the chat says he's, oh no, Aiden Bailey's going into the pit lane, so he's decided to repair the damage, and that is, I would have continued to be honest, but that is an unfortunate sight to see. Aiden Bailey has decided to finish the race rather than heroically drive it home. And that is, that's actually very sad to see. He was adding such a comfortable lead, and I do believe that even he could, maybe he decides to repair just a little bit of the damage and not refuel or anything. And hopefully he comes out ahead of the other guys. But I think I do believe if he continued racing with the car he had, he could still potentially have finished the race as P1 in silver. But going into the pit lane is definitely going to put him back a few positions, which will allow Andrea Baudetta and Andrew Moulton to potentially make a move on him and take those positions away. And it was going oh so well for Aiden Bailey, and nothing but praise and heartbreak for him. And that is really the story of the day. That is, Bathurst, it was going so well, happy smiles and everything, and then just heartbreak. And there was briefly yellow flags over the mountain. And that is, I can't see what car that is. That is the one. Is that the 17 of Antoine Olive? It is the 17 of Antoine Olive, so it's all happening now. It seems like the lapse of concentration. So yeah, we just catch the end of that on the replay. Jumps into the barrier on the downhill section, into the next barrier on the downhill section. Dominic Illigner gets past as he drives out. Diakowski has to avoid him as well. Everyone manages to make it through without too much damage. And that is Antoine Olive into the walls yet again. So it's all fallen apart for Olive as well. That is hugely unfortunate, but I think actually looking at it, Aiden Bailey has made it out of the pit lane, but he is he ahead of Baudetto? No, he is not. He is behind Baudetto, and I think Andrew Moulton as well. Let's try to find him on the track. I can't find him at the moment, but he is going down to be in second place at the moment according to the timing sheet, and he is 30 seconds behind Baudetto. So it sort of seems like he's lost that first place at the moment. Oh, big slide from Aiden Bailey, keep it on the wall. Yes, he does, but he really needs to concentrate now. I cannot imagine that car being easy to drive at all. Speaking of hard to drive, Antoine Olive, he's got very bent steering as well. He's going to somehow have to nurse this car back into the pit lane with 7 minutes to go. He is turning with all his might, almost making it into the pit lane, crossing over the line. And this will be very interesting to look at this pit entrance. Let's just see how this goes. Full opposite lock. You can hear the tires scraping. The bent steering almost crashes into the wall yet again. Oh, look at him. Struggling so hard to make his car point in the right direction. That is huge damage from Antoine Olive. And he's sadly going to have to box now to repair that damage. And also someone else in the pit lane was Jack Mills, who we just saw leaving the pit lane up ahead. So someone in the chat asked what happened to Bailey, and he dropped it on his own in the upper section, and then the lap later, so he had quite a lot of damage in the front of the lap later. Jack Mills was spun around, facing in the wrong direction, going into turn 4, I believe, going into the upper section. Aiden Bailey had Alexander Diakovsky on the inside of him, so he had nowhere to go apart from into Jack Mills, really. And it was very unfortunate that that happened, and after that he decided to go into the pit lane and repair his damage, because he probably thought the car was undrivable. Personally, I would have stayed out and just fight it till the end, because at that point you got nothing to lose. But Aiden Bailey goes into the pit lane yet again, and it's just all falling apart for him. I wonder what's happened this time. Is he got some tires on that he wasn't supposed to? Is he going to run out of fuel? What is happening to Aiden Bailey? His race is just getting worse and worse. And that is a very, very sad end to what has been a brilliant, brilliant race from Aiden. And it's sad to see it end this way. Today was going to be his day. P6 the whole race, and then with 10 minutes to go, Bathurst giveth and Bathurst taketh. It definitely taketh today. Oh well, at least Antoine Olive has someone to talk to in the pit lane now, so it's nice of him to keep him company, I guess you could say. Anyway, Sam Chumley getting closer to Jack Colley now. Sam Chumley also had a bit of an incident on his own earlier on in the race, and had to repair himself in the pit lane, but he's got great pace at the moment, chasing down Jack Colley, who managed to overtake him in the pit lane due to that damage. Ooh, a little bit wide. It keeps it off the wall, and that is brilliant car control there from Sam Chumley. Just under 5 minutes to go. 1.5 seconds between him and Jack Colley. Is he going to be able to make a move on Jack? That is the question. I think the times these drivers are driving, so last lap for Sam Chumley was a 2:01.8. Last lap for Jack Colley was a 2:02.1. So if it continues at this rate, it could very well be that Sam gets the position he is right ahead of him. But I'm looking at the deltas, and it looks like Jack Colley is currently running into the the low 202s, and Sam Chumley in the high 201s. So it's really just a couple of tenths between them. I'm just reading in chat, and there was a 75-second gap to P2 in silver when he crashed. I still think he should have continued and not pitted, to be honest. But I guess, yeah, he drives. He knows the car better than I do. Maybe it was undrivable and he didn't want to risk any more damage. But that is definitely a very big oof. 75 seconds between you and P2, and then something like that happens with Jack Mills parked in the wrong direction. Not Jack Mills' fault, so to say, at least, but it was a very unlucky situation all around. Sam Chumley now, last lap, 2:01.9. Jack Colley 2:02.1. So he is slowly but surely gaining on it, but is it enough? There's only, I think, 2 laps left of the race. I don't think that's enough to make a position. And it's still decent points for the championship. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's still P3 overall in silver that Aiden Bailey will get. But I wonder why he pitted the second time. Do you know why that happened? Anyone in chat, if you can tell me. But he's yeah, you can get P3 overall, so he's still good enough for his championship fights. But it would have been much better with the P1 that he had for silver at the moment. And then where is Ben? Yeah, Ben is in P2. He's having a pretty good time. They're maybe about to start the last lap. I think actually there'll be a little bit of time left. We'll have to see when George Rosu crosses the line. There we have George Rosu at the moment. As we have a lap time usually is around 2 minutes 2 seconds, or 2 minutes and 2:02s, and he's going to cross the line with 2 minutes 15 left of the race. So we will have this lap and then one more lap to go of this race, and George Rosu bringing that extra lap in for everyone to enjoy. But I'm pretty sure that some of these drivers would prefer to have this extra lap, like Sam Chumley, who is currently chasing down Jack Colley, and having an extra lap is definitely needed if he wants to make that that move for P4. It's getting closer and closer, and this could be a spicy battle to watch at the very end. And I look forward to it. I look forward to the little scrap these two drivers will have. So they cross the line now, and they will have one more lap, and then the final lap. So this is penultimate lap, I guess you'd call it. I believe, yeah. Of Bathurst here at 2S today. 19 drivers left. We have 20 on the grid, but Nico Veldman has been in the pit lane for 15 laps, so I believe he is retired his car, but not retired from the race, so to say. But he might just be staying there to... Actually, I think I know why. He's staying there to get the replay, so that the stewarding team at least has one replay at the end of the race that they can watch through. when they go through all the reports and incidents that happened this race. I wouldn't say there's been too much carnage with the drivers crashing into each other, more just someone dropping it and then people having to avoid it, sort of thing. But there's actually not been too much disrespectful driving. We saw earlier a brilliant race between Ryan Noppen and Dave Kowski, where it was a little bit of a bumpiness back and forth, but it was really good fun. And we also had the 3 wide moments between Sam Chumley, Dominic Eligner and Tommy Aslin, where Tommy Aslin took 2 positions up the inside into the chase. And that was a brilliant moment there, but I don't think that was worth reporting or worth any sort of instance. Just a little bit of rubbing is racing. It never hurts anyone. It's GT3 cars at the end of the day. They can survive a little bit of contact here and there. Anyways, George Rosu is about to embark onto the last lap of the race with about 15 seconds to go. Sam Chumley as well, rounding that corner of course elbow. He is 5/10 behind Jack Hawley. I don't think that's close enough to make a move, but it's definitely close enough to get right up behind him and potentially make a move into P1. So George Rosu is starting the final lap now. We have Ben Lowes also crossing the line for the final lap, and Tony Aslin will follow suit shortly. See 2 drivers come into the final sector now. Will Sam Chumley be able to overtake on the last lap? That is the question for today. If he can regain his P4 position, he's getting closer and closer to Jack Hawley, even on the braking here. A little bit deep, I would say, actually, from Sam. And that's going to cost him a little bit of time. But all he needs to do is nail the corner exit from turn 1 and hopefully manage to get into the slipstream of Jack Hawley and make a move into turn 2. But it doesn't look like it's close enough. He will be close enough to get the slipstream. He'll be close enough to gain distance on Jack Hawley, but he's not going to be close enough to make a move unless one of Jack Hawley makes a mistake. But I don't think he's going to do that. We know Hawley is a very talented driver, and he doesn't just make mistakes like that. In the Yorkshire pudding Team GB car, or Yorkshire Tea actually. Sorry, Yorkshire Tea. There was a huge discussion in one race about Yorkshire Tea. I don't want to know if I want to bring that one back, but actually looks like Sam applying the pressure and almost has Collie sliding off into the distance, but keeping an eye on the leaders as well while this is happening. I don't want to miss them crossing the line, but this is also a battle. I do not want to take my eyes off. If there is a move going to happen, it will happen on this lap. It has to happen on this lap because it's the final lap, but it will happen very shortly as they get onto the straight. There's a back marker in way that he could potentially get in the way of Jack Hawley and Sam Chumley. There's another back marker of Martin O'Brien in front of them into the wall. Does he collect Sam Chumley? No, he doesn't. He manages to get right past him without any damage. That was very close between those 2 drivers. Sam Chumley now gets onto the exit and is potentially going to get past Jack Hawley, but that doesn't matter. George Rosu is the winner of this race. We have Ben Lowes in P2 crossing the line there, as he's now got a P1 and a P2 position at 2S. And then we have Tommy Aslin, who's coming around to get P3 shortly. But the battle's not over between Sam Chumley and Jack Hawley. Will he make a move into the final few corners? No, he's not, but he's getting very close. He's got 2 corners to go, Jack Hawley, to keep Sam Chumley behind him. Will Sam make a dive into the final corner? He's not the kind of driver to do so, but we don't know. He's looking for it. He's swinging behind him, but it doesn't look like he's able to make it happen. Jack Hawley fends off Sam Chumley to get that P4 position, and Sam takes it home in P5. Dominic Eligner is behind by quite some margin and will take home a P6. But I just want to say congratulations to George Rosu, who's already in the pit lane, Ben Lowes and Tommy Aslin, who are your podium finishers today. And we've seen Ben Lowes and Tommy Aslin finish together on track before in the podium, but that was for P2 and P1. This time it's for P2 and P3. So well done to these 2 Luxembourgish drivers. What a run it's been for these 2 this season so far. I believe Tommy Aslin has regained his lead in the championship over Dominic Eligner after this race. So the championship is only getting better, and we have 3 rounds to go. Make sure you guys manage to stay tuned for that race that we have coming next. It's going to be Laguna Seca, round 6, the same time next week on Monday. And I believe Timo will be back to commentate. But what a brilliant entertainment we're getting from these guys here at the moment. As the two AMR drivers are just having a little bit. I don't know if that's PG-13. I don't know if I can show that actually, to be honest. Don't know what they're doing there, but they don't like the penalty points, I guess. Anyways, what a race that's been. Thank you everyone who has been watching and keeping me company in the chat, and thank you everyone who has been participating and bringing a joyful race to everyone to watch today. It's been Christian Stricker, and it's been a great commentating gig yet again. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you all have a great evening, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.